The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us.
Matthew's face is doing a thing.
Yeah, Matthew's face always is doing a thing. But good morning, everybody. Happy Friday, you guys. That's right, because it is Friday, July 26th. And today is National Get Gnarly Day. What do you think about that, Mathieu St. Germain?
Cowabunga.
Always gnarly, my brother.
That's
just
what I
back from
figured.
Vegas where we got gnarly AF at the Champs Trade Show.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
It's also
And I hear my face is doing a thing.
We can see your face is always doing something. It's also National Bagelfest Day.
Shabbat shalom.
National Coffee Milkshake Day. Coffee milkshakes? I mean, really? Are these people serious?
They try to milkshake to anything these days.
Man, it's all because of Khaleesi.
Okay. Bringing boys to the yard.
Exactly. National All or Nothing Day. I'm totally down with that. All or nothing. I'm all about that.
Shout out to the Backstreet.
Mm-hmm. It's all about winning. And that's right, you guys. It is my day today because it is National Disability Independence Day, you guys. So I'm here alone in the studio today.
Listen, all right, you're very independent, but you're also a good friend.
And it's also National Aunt and Uncle's Day. And I happen to have one of my aunts that watch the show every day, so happy National Aunts Day, Aunt Linda. Anyways, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us and high noon on the Thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above or down below on your screen to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. But kicking it off first, that's right, we have the dope dad himself, Mr. Rico Lamitte, the Quasimodo caretaker, the baby daddy specialist, the diaper changing expert, and that's right, the professional hair picker. That's right, it is the dope dad himself, Mr. Rico Lamitte.
So what?
Professional hair picker. You know,
I'm there with you.
Rico be picking his hair all the time.
I would just like to say for the record that Jason said hair picker with a hard R right there.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's Friday, Rico.
I feel triggered.
I bet.
California is not a very Second Amendment friendly state. So
I bet.
Onward and upward. Talking about hard R's and dog whistles and all of that. I got a story for y'all today. So the Providence Journal out of Rhode Island reported this morning that their head reporter over there, Tom Mooney, reported this morning that a California woman is challenging Rhode Island's cannabis laws, and the state wants the suit tossed. So in the article, Mooney says that the state lawyers have asked a federal court to dismiss the woman's constitutional challenge of Rhode Island's 2022 retail cannabis law, arguing that the plaintiff's lawsuit is irrelevant and premature. If you're thinking California woman, Rhode Island cannabis. Like, what in the world is he even talking about here? You think it's a bizarre one-off throwaway story going down in an emerging market? It probably has nothing to do with you. You would sadly be mistaken, because the California woman at the center of all of this is none other than Justina Jensen.
I thought you were going to say Karen.
Might as well be. Now, I don't blame you. I don't blame you if the name does not immediately ring a bell, but we have covered stories about Jensen in the past here on High at 9 News. At the end of February, MJ Biz Daily's Chris Roberts published a damning article about Jensen and her husband, whose names have mysteriously been at the center of several social equity lawsuits across multiple cannabis markets, officially making them the cannabis industry's very own King Ken and Queen Karen, all because they couldn't secure their own license at home in Pasadena, California, way back.
I remember this lady.
This dirty broad is.
I remember her.
So fast forward to May 2024, and once again, Justina filed suit claiming Rhode Island's law violated federal interstate commerce provision because of restrictions in places on non-resident participation. Per the article in court papers filed on Monday, lawyers for the Attorney General argued Jensen cannot claim injury because Rhode Island's Cannabis Control Commission has yet to finalize retail regulations. They jumped the shark on this one.
Someone just jumped in.
No new retail licenses have even been awarded, thus no applicants can be rejected. And Jensen does not have ownership interest in any cannabis business in Rhode Island. The statement that plaintiff intends to apply with an unformed business entity with no identified partners who otherwise qualify for a retail license falls short of showing an imminent injury, the lawyers wrote. Besides the fact that retail licensing is not even available to apply for yet and will not be for an undetermined amount of time, any harm to plaintiff is speculative at best. Further, the state argues Jensen's claim the law violates the so-called dormant commerce clause is inapplicable because recreational use of cannabis remains federally illegal. Plaintiff outright ignores the fact that a majority of courts have very recently rejected the argument that state adult retail cannabis laws implicate or violate the DCC. These courts have nearly universally reasoned that the Dormant Commerce Clause does not apply to recreational marijuana market because Congress has specifically made that market illegal at the federal level, end quote. Jensen and her husband, lawyer Jeffrey, have filed similar lawsuits in several other states, taking particular aim at social equity provisions that reserve retail licenses for minorities and communities disproportionately hurt in the nation's war on drugs. Rhode Island's recreational cannabis law passed with the expectation a new Cannabis Control Commission would issue at least 24 licenses for retail cannabis stores, with 6 of those licenses reserved for social equity applicants and another 6 reserved for stores owned by worker co-ops. The law states that a Rhode Island resident or corporation must own at least 51% of that business, but as the state lawyers wrote, it doesn't prevent non-residents from owning some portion of the business. So, like, the whole point of this lawsuit makes no fucking sense in the first place. If they just waited until these licenses even got distributed, they would have a stay, and they quite possibly could invest as predatorily as they wanted to in social equity licenses. But they're trying to do this shit months before it even fucking comes out. But I digress. Simply stated, a non-resident can still have ownership interest in Rhode Island retail cannabis license. Plaintiff can become the owner of a cannabis retail establishment within the state of Rhode Island. She simply chooses not to partner with an individual or entity of the state of Rhode Island, is what the state lawyers wrote. Jensen also argues that Rhode Island's law infringes upon the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment that says states shall not deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. But the state lawyers say the clause mandates only that similarly situated persons be treated alike. Mooney states in the article that in Jensen's case, the plaintiff is not a member of any protected class. I don't know. He's a white suburban mom, so maybe, got to protect those ladies because they keep people like Trump in office. Right, Jason? She does
No, they don't. No, they don't.
She does not live in a disproportionately impacted area. In fact, the plaintiff cannot possibly be considered to be similarly situated to other potential social equity applicants because she does not meet the statutory requirements to qualify as a social equity applicant to begin with. Unfortunately, the Jensens' nationwide efforts as a privileged white couple with more money and time than should be allowed has caught on to copycats because the lawsuit is one of 2 challenges in Rhode Island to state cannabis law, and the second is nearly identical from a man in Florida. White man in Florida, John Kinney, a Florida resident, filed a similar lawsuit in the U.S. District Court, also alleging the residency requirements unconstitutionally impede interstate trade. The work of the Cannabis Control Commission continues to despite the lawsuits, a spokesperson said. In the past year, a Cannabis Control Commission has made steady headway working to expand the adult use market in Rhode Island and will continue to monitor litigation and any impact it may have on its efforts, said spokesman Mathieu St. Touche, Mr. Touche. We've seen the damage that the Jensens have done to the New York market and all that social equity shit going on in New York. That's the Jensens. Those big lawsuits. That's the Jensens.
Keeping up with the Jensens.
Right. Who knows how much more they've levied across the nation, because if it weren't for Roberts and MJ Biz Daily's in-depth expose article, we would not have known that they even existed. The majority of the lawsuits they've been tied to have alias companies and alias organizations named, and you wouldn't know it was them without FOIA requests, finding out who was on the board of these entities in the first place. You know, the more we try to make things not about race, the more they end up being about race. Social equity's already more fucked up than it needs to be, and now we got people making it their life's mission to exploit the system even more, making the lives of the people who actually deserve to benefit from these initiatives that much worse. I hope that the state of Rhode Island wins here and the goodness in people's hearts win out, but we all know that ain't happening. Stay woke, y'all. Pieces of shit like Justina and Jeff Jensen do still exist. Call them out and shame the shit out of them. The U.S. justice system is trash, and unfortunately, folks with cash will always have the upper hand in our society. I'm Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High at 9 News. What do y'all think of this, man?
Burn it down, Rico.
Burn it down. Burn it the hell.
And they're going to keep on doing this shit. They're going to keep on doing this shit because our legal system allows them to do it. And it's going to keep on gumming up the system, and people keep on getting fucked over.
I mean,
this is gross.
Rico, this is the same lawsuit that she filed in California. This is like a cookie cutter that, like, everything that you said is the exact same thing that I feel like she tried filing here.
Yes, every state,
everything.
Equity, they start filing these lawsuits because they got money and they got time.
Did you see the restraining order that went along with the one that tried to stop the lottery? Like, this is crazy. This is like white lady tears magnified times a million. Like, what the fuck? Are you serious right now?
It's crazy. And like I said, the more we try to not make shit about race, the more shit like this comes out. Yo, step the fuck aside and let some people who actually deserve to operate. They're still butthurt because they missed out on the Pasadena opportunity back in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because you weren't qualified for it. You were doing pretty fucking good. Pasadena, California is not a cheap place to live. So if you were upper middle class in Pasadena, California, your life probably doesn't suck so bad. If you have time to sit at home and just focus on trying to fuck up opportunities for other people, you're probably doing okay fiscally. So you don't qualify there either. I'm guessing that she probably doesn't have a cannabis conviction either. She doesn't seem like she was probably trapping. So this is more of the same, and it's so frustrating. Please let people have the opportunity that is given to them. We have such a beautiful chance to, like, have restorative justice work through these programs, and for someone to be so selfish and so short-sighted to try and take that over. What's her home address? I'm gonna go find her.
No, I'm not gonna dox her on our show, but it's very, very easy to find.
No, not on the show, but
it's very, very easy to find. Like, within these links, within these articles, it has like official papers and everything. You actually see where they are in Pasadena. But she is a high-end real estate agent, and her husband is a real estate lawyer. He's a real estate attorney with several.
There you have it. We won't tell you where to find her, but you can do it. I mean, I don't know. I just like to sit down over a Starbucks colonizer coffee and have a discussion with her mom to mom, you know? That's all.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
Figure it out.
That's on this MSG.
I'm just blown away by the whole
in
thing.
your backyard.
Yeah, the whole social equity program has just been such a boondoggle in so many ways, and the biggest thing has been seeing a lot of actually fairly privileged European, white appearing folks getting social equity permits because they were the greedy players during the 215. There's a lot of people who are heads of companies who have this social equity play, but it's like, bro, you were spending thousands of pounds and you're playing because your dad is already rich, and like, how does that equal social equity? And it's not any one person's fault. You know, it's not those persons who have that ability getting that social equity permit as much as it's the fault of the government. It's just comprised of a bunch of egotistical narcissists who make decisions with no real input, think they already know everything.
100%.
It's the fault of the system, man, because
Agree.
it is not constitutional to say in writing that if you are a white suburban mom, this does not apply to you. You can't say you can't benefit black and brown people explicitly in law because that makes it discriminatory to people like this. That is the problem. That is the issue at hand. This is why social equity, as much as we love the
Socialist
philosophy,
equity.
like everything behind it, this is why me and Jason have joked since
It's
2 years now.
socialist equity. Yeah.
Socialist equity, because as much as it looks good on paper and people like love the idea of it, it will never happen on a grand scale because of people like this.
Great concept at heart. Great concept at heart, and very well meaning behind. But as far as the execution, they get a 0.
100%.
As Jason Beck supports socialism.
No, I do not.
Did you drive on the roads today, Jason?
No, I didn't. I flew here.
Boy.
I flew here.
Oh,
You should see how
Use an
fast I get
airport?
here.
Do you respect the police?
I support good members of law enforcement 100%. Yes.
It's too early for this shit.
No, I want to hear from Dr. Mark. This is out in your backyard, Dr. Mark. What do you think about the Jensens?
There's no such thing as social equity. It's just all bullshit.
Thank you.
Fair enough. Look at that. You have any thoughts on the Jensens in particularly? Can you believe that they're doing this out there near you, Dr. Mark? I'm pretty sure they're going to come and try and do this in New York, or in New York, and I'm pretty sure they'll do this in Vermont, and they're filing the same lawsuits in all these different states.
Yeah, but good luck snuffing out the legacy market in New York, right? So,
I mean, one might argue that the reason why the trap is so strong in New York is because of the Jensens, because of what they've done coming up the system.
Keeping up with the Jensens, man. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what, Rico. I got some reports in the other day that all the trap stores that they have closed all opened within 72 hours after they were closed in New York.
Yep.
wow.
Strong.
Whack-a-mole.
You keep a pirate down.
Now that
man.
report was from a Chad, but I feel like he at least would know because he does live in New York, and that was pretty interesting information. Like,
It was.
oh, I wish Dil Schaefer was here because I want the judge to spank these people.
Yeah, I know we're way over time on this story, but any final thoughts on this one? Elise, good to see you this morning.
I just, nice to see y'all. I just don't get why they wouldn't take all this money they're spending fighting people and just like buy a license or invest in the business.
Well, I'm willing to bet that
it's so bad. Why are they? Fighting,
after the California case, I'm willing to bet they found some law firm that would take this up on contingency, and they're not having to come out of pocket for it.
It's her husband's law firm, dude.
There we go.
He's an attorney.
That's why. There's your answer why right there, Elise. It doesn't cost them anything but a little bit of time and filing fees.
And clearly they don't have other clients or work to do.
They do, but it's the same lawsuit. It's not like they had to do more work. They just copy and paste and file it in a different municipality. You
already got your paperwork together. Might as well make it maximally effective.
Yeah. You go through and you edit it, and every California switch with Rhode Island and done instantly. Boom. Yep.
America.
Well, we got to go to a commercial. We're going to be right back. America.
Oh man, that was weird. Hey, you America. Do I look like Sean Connery? Good morning, America. Saman Razani coming to you live from sunny Los Angeles, California with the one and only highest host, Mr. Jason Beck, smoking on the best weed in the world. Did you know that we have an audio-only version of our podcast? You can find it on Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. No excuses in 2024. If you haven't checked us out, check it out now. And also, check out what the Prophet's doing in 2024.
Boy, when it fucked up.
I'm telling you.
And we are back.
It's easier.
We're back.
Up next, High at 9 News' head honcho, the man known for smoking the best weed in the world wherever he goes, the highest Republican in every room that he walks into and walks out of. And right now, he's the one backpedaling because he's trying to figure out.
Whoever's phone is off, they need to put their phone on Do Not Disturb.
Yeah, you know that's Jenny Beth. Look at her face.
Mm-hmm.
No, my phone's always on Do Not Disturb. Thank you so much. Why? We're picking on black ladies this morning, Rico? Damn, I thought we were doing this together. What happened?
That's the equal.
Thank you, Elise.
That's the equal opportunity,
Elise
Jenny.
For not letting me catch that stray.
Thank
you, sis.
That's the equal
Hey, look,
opportunity.
look, Jenny Beth. What you can talk about Elise is that's an ally. That's a true ally right there.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't let you.
That's an honest woman, and I appreciate her for that.
She didn't let you fall on that sword. Elise Mc Roberts. You are not a Jensen. But as I was saying, Jason Beck's still backpedaling, trying to figure out how to talk about Kamala Harris without being misogynistic. Jason,
yeah, right. You're so funny.
But he's trying.
You're so funny. You're so funny. I mean, just because people think that it's misogynistic doesn't mean that it actually is. Just saying.
Now, spoken like a true patriarch.
True facts. True facts. I'm all about the patriarchy. All about it. But nonetheless, you guys, you are going to love this one because Oklahoma dispensaries react to new medical marijuana rules, you guys. And this is a quickie for you guys. On Thursday, new rules from the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority took effect, with rules ranging from secret shoppers to banning the hiring of undocumented workers, you guys. A big rule change for dispensaries is the agency's ability to have secret shoppers come into stores unannounced and inspect the business. In a quote, they're allowed to ask for test results to make sure the products on the shelves are matching the test results from the lab. So there's no false advertising, said Corbin Wyatt, owner of Likewise Cannabis. The intent is to make sure dispensaries are following the rules and not selling to anyone under the age of 21 or those with expired licenses. In a quote, it's just the mentality behind having secret shoppers and always having to feel like you're on your toes. You're being watched, Wyatt said. But with the new rules, Wyatt said that the stakes are higher when it comes to paying business taxes, as cannabis owners have to keep up with it or it could cost them their license. Well, that's with any business. I don't understand why you're complaining about that. That's stupid. In a quote, the Oklahoma Employment Security Commission or the Oklahoma Tax Commission, they would be the ones in charge of that and asserting fines and fees and making sure you're caught up on your payments, Wyatt said. But now the OMMA also has power to refuse to renew a license and things like that if you're not caught up on your taxes. Well, of course they would, you idiot. But whatever. Yeah. Along with the long list of new regulations, an extension on the moratorium on new medical marijuana business licenses through August 1st, 2026. Originally, the moratorium was set to expire in August of this year, and in a final quote, they seem to keep raising it by 2 years every time they do it. They haven't been shy about wanting less operating cannabis businesses, Wyatt said. Well, I think this Wyatt guy just sounds like a big old crybaby personally. And like, that's just having secret shoppers. Obviously, this person is not from the legacy market and had to deal with the possibility of selling to undercover agents or anything like that. So, you know, he's brand new to the space. So he has no mental concept of trying to how to be able to profile his customer base. But nonetheless, I think it's a dumbass reason to be complaining about a state trying to enforce laws and create public safety with secret shoppers. That's just ridiculous because it's going to happen. And nonetheless, this is Jason Beck for the High at 9 News. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
This was dumb. There's no news in this. If you don't pay your business taxes, you don't get your business license renewed. Like, that's
Right.
basic.
Exactly.
Basic knowledge, right? Like, this is, we want to operate like other businesses. Okay, part of that's paying taxes, and yes, taxes suck, and we're highly taxed, and it's not fair, and blah, 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 and so on and so forth. And cool, more of the same. Where's the news in this article?
Yeah, and also other businesses get secret shopped by state agencies too.
I thought. Well,
Yeah.
the reason that I thought I was just like I couldn't believe that someone was complaining about this. That's why I wanted to cover this. I was like,
He's probably gassed up by the Jensens, man. Like, who is this guy?
Can we check his ancestry and see if they're his cousin or something? Because it sounds you're right, Rico. It's probably family. All family.
Secret shopping me? Let me talk to your manager. Let me talk to your manager right now.
Even strip clubs get secret shopped, you know? Every
Really?
business does.
Yeah. I mean,
Really? Oh, they do, huh? Yeah, and everywhere that serves
Yeah.
alcohol gets secret shopped. It's part of like the serve safe trading.
Oh.
hold on, especially if you're married, you would also be considered a secret shopper in the strip club, right?
yeah, especially in California where there were.
That's why they don't let women in there without men typically, just in case, you know.
Yeah, in California.
Little Lorena Bobbitt action.
Oh man, that's harsh.
Serving alcohol or full nudity or like fuck that, man. You should have both. See.
And they're making sure that the girls aren't selling drugs in the private rooms.
Right?
Rico's going to sue for equal protection for nudity and alcohol.
Strippers sell drugs? Are you
I'm
serious?
just saying that's
Not those respectable women.
They have like the tiniest purses.
You can fit like little tiny bags.
Not the one God gave them, Jason.
Bro, they got lockers in the back, Jay. They got lockers in the back.
Oh
They
man.
always have two purses.
So you mean it's like high school? They have a locker in the back, and that's where they keep their stash,
Yes, sir.
and they just keep
Allegedly.
running to the locker. Cute. What do you think about this, Dr. Mark? This Oklahomaness.
Well, yeah, I mean, I saw a menu. I think it was from Oklahoma. It was from some Midwestern state. It was from Michigan. No, it was from Oklahoma. And it had their top sellers, and they were all like in the 40%, right? We all know that there's no
such thing.
no weed on planet Earth that analyzes 40%.
Oh, you guys, that's
It wouldn't even
Sir
smoke.
Dr. Mark,
It wouldn't even
I've got a new
smoke.
flower. It's 265% THC, 400% terpenes.
Let me guess. Let me guess. The concept for this flower started on a kitchen table. Matthew and True Leave is selling it.
It did. I came together with some billionaires at a kitchen table. We all really care about the world. And so we've got a new flower. It's coated with asbestos. It's 1,000% THC.
Oh man, I love this.
And if you look at the state filings, the Jensens are also on the board, so there's that.
They're shareholders.
That Karen's my CEO. In fact, I have a lab now too. I do lab testing, and you basically can just tell me tell you how much it's going to cost. Let's go.
So basically,
Can I mail my samples in,
if you were to buy some of that in the dispensary, take it to an independent lab, it's going to come back lower. In fact, there's publications that people, secret shoppers, actually not so secret shoppers, are going to dispensaries, buying things, testing them independently, and universally across the board, the results are always lower than what's advertised. What's advertised is just
Dr. Mark, the way they write the regs, I think at every step you can as the THC more between 5 to 10%.
I think it's 5% in California. There's a 5%
it's at a
variable.
couple of different steps along the process, so you get an aggregate of like 10% total.
Yeah, I mean,
Take your 32% flour now, it's 40%.
you see,
Well, very important that we.
the biggest problem is scientifically is that a living plant is about 80% to 90% water. Okay.
Yep.
But when you look at those plants in the grow, most of what you're looking at is not THC, it's not biomass, it's water. H2 fucking O, right? So
It's like
when
us.
when you have to report potency based on a dried weight basis, that means you have to dry to 0 water, right? 0 water. So you're basically taking
You have to have Colorado
80%
weed.
of the mass of that plant, removing it, and then analyzing what's left behind. Well, therein lies the big discrepancy between labs, right? How dry is it? Is it totally dry? What they're supposed to do is they're supposed to dry one sample, determine what the percent water is, and the way they do that is they actually determine something called water activity, which they correlate through an isotherm to percent water, and then you're supposed to use that percent water to correct to give potency on a dry weight basis. My biggest problem with this is that you're not buying bone dry weed. You're buying weed that has moisture in it. So why are they testing it to get to the potencies on a dry weight basis when you're not buying something that's totally dry? So now the question is well, how much moisture is acceptable? The more moisture you have in there, guess what? The less THC. If you drive out the moisture, which is a lot of what these labs do, guess what happens to your THC number? It goes up, right? Because when you dry, you're not only removing water, but you're also removing the terpenes, right? Now what's left behind is obviously going to be more. So yeah, it's an artifact of prohibition. But, you know, if you're a dispensary owner and you're buying huge, you know, quantities of cannabis, and you have one that analyzes for 28 and one that analyzes for 22, which one are you going to buy, right? If you're a processor and you're basically paid on extracting that THC, aren't you going to buy the more potent material? So I think prohibition has basically backed us, painted us into this corner where now we have to do potency testing. And if it doesn't match exactly with what, you know, if you're picking the buds, right? You're picking the top of the plant, which is the most potent part of the plant. And now you're going to use that COA on a whole bag of lawn clippings. Yeah. Things aren't going to be cool.
Dr. Mark, I don't disagree with the thrust of your argument, but I have to say hard no to the fact that it's prohibition, because the prohibitionist phase, you would go over to your friend's house and he would smoke all his different weeds with you and you would choose what you like the best. If we look at the trap game right now, I got friends killing in the trap game and there's not a single number on their package. The brand, so you know what to get. That's it, because people are shopping for quality. Numbers came in the 215 era, which was kind of a bridge from prohibition. All of a sudden, everybody whose uncle had a bunch of money and could get a shop license came in, and those people, the majority of them, didn't care about weed or quality, just wanted to make money. They could get in the game with their little ass ball sacks. They came in and ruined it, and it only got worse as legalization came in. I agree with you about the numbers shopping, and everything you're saying. I love and respect you. I would just put a hard stop on. I disagree with it's prohibition. I think during prohibition times, quality for the most part was far higher in general, and people were actually smoking and making purchasing options based on aesthetic effects and how the cannabis interacted with it. I, for one, would like to see some sort of like Weed Smokers Council of America come back, which can help people to understand what they're actually looking for and why.
Well,
I love you, Dr. Mark.
Well, and on that, we're going to roll right into the Count himself, Mr. Mathieu St. Germain. He is the Transylvanian Count that has been walking the planet for thousands and thousands of years. He's part of Hogwarts' little merry men that march around Sonoma. And that's right, it is Mr. Mathieu St. Germain.
Thanks, Brother Jason.
Yes.
Happy Friday, everybody. I don't know how that happened. That wasn't me. Oh my God, I'm melting, you guys. Been at Champs in Vegas all week, and yes, all of the micro doses turned into macro doses. I have to say, Vegas, since weed has been legalized, is a lovely place. You can basically eat acid until your face melts all the way off, and no one will mess with you. But as you can see, there's some residual effects. I've got a really cool article about how magic mushrooms may have shaped our consciousness, separated us from the rest of the animal kingdom, for better or for worse. About 300,000 years ago, an early human was foraging for food in an expansive grassland. Spied a cluster of mushrooms poking out of dark soil, picked one of the brown caps and examined its darker brown borders and whitish gray stem. Tentatively, mushroom's naturally occurring psilocybin, a psychedelic compound, hit her bloodstream, eventually traveled into her brain. Scanning her environment rapidly, the human noticed minute details among the waving grasses. quickly than usual, she identified several different edible plants. Definitely caught fast-moving game for her next. Evidence indicates that early hominids have been picking and eating magic mushrooms for up to 6 million years. Recent review by the Miguel Lilo Foundation in Argentina concludes that psilocybin shaped human consciousness over thousands of generations. It does so by enhancing cognitive function, by increasing connectivity in the brain, affecting the prefrontal cortex, hippocampus, and anterior cingulate cortex, which impacts memory and decision-making, says Fatima Calvo of the Pontifical Catholic University of Peru. From an evolutionary perspective, psilocybin ingestion could have improved visual abilities and reproductive success. Hell yeah. The review includes studies from neuroscience, biology, and ethnobotany. The exact mechanisms and timelines still remain unclear. Biologist Joshua Macedo Bedoya of the University Nacional Mayor de San Marcos notes a lack of specific evidence pinpointing changes in consciousness due to psilocybin ingestion. Early hominids likely consumed psilocybin mushrooms after descending from trees about 5 to 6 million years ago during the Pleistocene. We found mushrooms in environments rich in decomposing soil from bovids, that's cows, cattle, yak, etc. Theories are that this molecule could have enhanced early humans' visual skills, aiding in hunting and gathering and sexual stimulation. Productive rates. Let's go. Compound might also have triggered mystical experiences, influencing shamanic practices and religious rituals. Over millennia, humans continued encountering magic mushrooms, developing cultural uses for them. Shamanic practices and religious rituals in various parts of the world allowed those who ingested the fungi to have sensory experiences otherwise unattainable. Research cited in the reviews shows humans developed the CYP2D6. We're going to ask Dr. Mark about that gene to synthesize psilocybin, which already has a very low toxicity. Modern-day use of psilocybin under professional guidance can benefit conditions like severe addiction. It can enhance creativity. It can help PTSD, says Calvo. Learning from our ancestors, psilocybin can help us connect with ourselves, face fears, and heal traumas, adds Macedo Bedoya. Tracking the exact timeline of human consciousness changes due to psilocybin remains challenging. Psilocybin's role as catalyst for mystical experiences or cognitive processes raises profound reflections on the ancestral interaction between humans and their environment. Future studies are needed to illuminate the complex biological mechanisms and historical impact on human evolution. This is amazing because Terence McKenna, who some of you may already know, wrote a book called Food of the Gods.
Yes.
1993, where he posited this. He was ridiculed by the mainstream scientific establishment. However, with decades now of research and thought and a loosening of everybody's moral fright about these amazing substances, what we're finding is it looks like McKenna and many of these visionary thinkers may well have been right. I'd like to hand this off to y'all, but first I'd like to say, Dr. Mark, you give us, do you have any information or enlightenment on the CYP D6 gene and psilocybin's interaction with that?
Yeah, so CYP is a family of what are called cytochrome E450 oxidases, which are enzymes that exist in the liver, but they're pretty ubiquitous throughout the animal kingdom and even in insects and fungi. So CYPs are the enzymes that actually, when you take CBD, I don't know if you've heard about this, but there's this elevated liver enzyme issue with CBD. That's exactly the enzymes that they're worried about, because these are oxidases that exist in the liver that basically oxidize compounds and metabolize them to more water-soluble versions, and ultimately for excretion of these compounds. So I would, it's interesting because it's a regulatory enzyme, Matthew. It's there to basically regulate compounds and certain toxins that are in the body. That's about all I know about it. I mean, I don't know why there's
more
a
than I knew.
particular interaction. The CYP.
Could I ask something?
Yeah.
What would this indicate, this gene and this gene pathway, and they being from liver metabolites? Is there anything that you could maybe infer, and we won't hold you to it, but about microdosing with psilocybin? Would there be any risk to the liver?
Well, okay, so just central paradigm of biology, right? So the gene basically codes for the protein, right? So the gene is basically the DNA and the information that basically then turns into through transitional or translational RNA. It's fed into this mechanism that basically makes proteins, right? So the genes that code for these CYP enzymes is what they're talking about.
Okay.
Now, more recently, in the last 30 or 40 years, there's been something called gene therapy, where what they're doing is they're actually acting on the expression of set genes. So when these genes are expressed, ultimately the proteins that they code for are synthesized. So if you can lower the expression of those at the genetic level, so now you have compounds that are coming into the cell and basically interfering with the regulatory pathway in the nucleus that would basically express genes to code for these proteins. So gene therapy is how sort of the modern way of looking at how drugs are designed, because rather than trying to throw a monkey wrench at the protein, if they could keep the protein from being synthesized by basically blocking that gene somehow, that's what gene therapy is all about. I don't fully understand this connection, but I'll just add one other thing, Matthew. So I was one of those scientists who, again, read a lot of McKenna's stuff and be like, whoa, like this is like Star Trek kind of stuff. Like this is like pulling stuff out of thin air. But it's funny, not funny, but I guess ironic how in the years since his passing, there's been a lot of scientific validation for all these crazy ideas that he has. And I have tinnitus. I don't know if anyone else suffers from tinnitus. It's a persistent ringing in the ear.
Friend's dad does. And you're probably going with he's actually been healing his tinnitus with mushroom microdosing.
That's right. And there's this weird theory that Terrence had about how these harmaline compounds intercalate into DNA and create an electron spin resonance signal that is maybe what people who suffer from tinnitus are hearing. And I used to think to myself, man, that is so like fucking far out. There's no way that can be. But it could actually be. So he was way ahead of his time. He didn't really have the chemistry knowledge that he really needed to. If you read his book, The Invisible Landscape, it goes through a lot of different things. Matthew, you would love that book, Invisible Landscape.
I've read it.
Yeah. So in that book, he describes all these crazy theories, and a lot of scientists poo-pooed him, but it turns out that there was basically a basis for some of the conclusions that he came to.
And this is amazing, and I'm really looking forward to these next couple decades, because it's looking like the more and more science we put to this, the more and more psychologists see this. Work of Leary and the work of McKenna is just being further validated, and I think we're going to flash forward to 50 to 100 years from now. Those two gentlemen are going to be considered two of the greatest leading lights and thinkers the 20th century.
Two
so I do a lot of drugs.
Two quick things before we move on. Isn't Terrence McKenna, isn't he the author of Feigl and Teichl?
Oh, that's Alexander Shulgin.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, Sasha Shulgin.
Yeah.
Alexander Shulgin actually was a chemist for Dow and made some gnarly chemicals, and that was how he ended up leveraging Dow for his Schedule 1 license, where he then went on to some of the yummiest and most fun phenylethylamine analogs ever.
Yeah, that book, those books are fascinating. And just one quick question. Hold on, Matthew. We're way over time on this. I just have one other question in regards to this, because they say that the average human only uses 10% of their brain. So, is there any study that shows that anyone that uses psychedelics is using more than 10% of their brain? Is there any study out there that shows
so first
that?
off, that was something that kind of came about in an era of misunderstanding about the brain and brain science and pre-CAT scans and MRI. So it's number one, it's just not really true. We should put that to rest. It's kind of like an old
soul wives' tale.
Thank you. One of the things that's really interesting, though, at least with psilocybin and LSD, there's a part, Dr. Mark will get me with the science here, but there's a part of your brain that basically is responsible for filtering incoming sense information. that you can be efficable in the 3D reality. Like if we were to see kind of experience everything, every portion of our skin, our eyes, our ears, etc., was receiving incoming, we'd be ineffective and unable to really traverse through the 3D world, feed ourselves, not shit in the stream where we drink, have kids, etc. And one of the things that they found through fMRI work is that when you do LSD and psilocybin, blood flow is actually shunted to that area of the brain. What I think is going to eventually become seen by science and proven is that a lot of the things that we are seeing are not in fact hallucinations. Mm-hmm. They are phenomena that is extant and constantly available should we choose to or find a way to view it, and our brain just filters that down again so that we can procreate.
Fair enough. All right, well, we got to go to a commercial. We're going to be right back.
I wore my Decrim Nature shirt on the right.
I see that, yeah.
The Control Tower from Highly Educated has perfected the dab. Utilizing the concept of thin film evaporation, you can waste none of it and taste all of it. The micro texture of the SE pillar increases nucleation at elevated temperatures. And with the tower propelling at 2,600 RPMs, it's certainly the most efficient dab experience to date. The Control Tower from Highly Educated.
I know.
All right, stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you hit that like button. I know we'll appreciate it, you'll appreciate it, and YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to that channel if you're not subscribed already. We only need 8 more of you guys to subscribe to hit 4K, so please just go ahead and tap that button. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.high9news.com.
I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi.
Pity Parter is fine. You with us, Rico?
Children.
A pity parter?
A pity party, yeah.
A pity party.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew, I
Rico,
feel like
you're
I'm
mute.
on drugs, and I'm not yet.
You're on mute,
So
Rico. You're on mute.
It's one of my superpowers.
Oh, well, joining
There we
us
go.
once again, not in the studio, unfortunately, is the female conservative voice that is 100% not a DEI hire because she's not a liberal.
Thank you.
Conservatives don't do DEI hiring and shit. So, whatever.
That's right. We hire based off quality of character and content.
She is
God, the whole
behind
GOP
Cannabis Consulting and Justice Serve 501c3, and bringing us the next story of the day, none other than the Jenny Beth Dils for reals.
Deals for reals. Oh my goodness, I love it. All right, so we have more of the same and more race baiting, unfortunately, because a white man did it again. Missouri cannabis leader accused of using predatory contracts to win social equity licenses. John Pennington, that's right, say his name, John Pennington, a key figure in Missouri's burgeoning cannabis industry, is facing serious allegations that he used predatory contracts to gain an unfair advantage in securing social equity licenses. Oh, really? These licenses are part of a state initiative aimed at helping communities disproportionately affected by past drug laws participate in the legal cannabis market. Pennington's company, Green Growth LLC, allegedly entered into agreements with minority and disadvantaged individuals, promising them lucrative opportunities in the cannabis business. However, these contracts reportedly contain terms that many now describe as exploitative. Excuse me. The agreements include high interest loans and clauses that allow Green Growth to seize control of the business if the partners fail to meet stringent and often unrealistic conditions. Several former partners have stepped forward, sharing their experiences of being misled and manipulated. One partner who wished to remain anonymous stated, "I thought I was getting a life-changing opportunity, but I ended up getting trapped in a cycle of debt and legal threats. The terms of the contract were so one-sided that it was almost impossible to succeed." The Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services, which oversees the cannabis licensing process, has launched an investigation into these allegations. If found guilty of these practices, Pennington and Green Growth, LLC, could face severe penalties, including the potential revocation of their licenses. The controversy has sparked a broader discussion about the efficacy and integrity of social equity programs in the cannabis industry. The critics argue that while the intention behind these programs is noble, the execution often falls short, leaving room for exploitation. They call for more robust oversight and clear guidance to ensure that programs genuinely benefit those they are intended to help. Lisa Thompson, a social equity advocate, commented, "The situation underscores the need for stricter regulations and a better enforcement. Social equity licenses are supposed to level the playing field, but without proper safeguards, they can easily become tools for exploitation." As the investigation unfolds, many in the industry and community are watching closely. The outcome could have significant implications for the future of social equity programs in Missouri and potentially set a precedent for other states grappling with similar issues. In the meantime, those affected by Green Growth's practices are left to pick up the pieces. "It's a devastating betrayal," said another former partner. "We entered into these agreements in good faith, believing we were being given a fair shot. Now we're just trying to find a way forward." This case highlights the ongoing challenges in ensuring that social equity programs truly serve the community they are designed to help. As more states legalize cannabis and implement similar initiatives, the lessons learned from Missouri's experience could prove invaluable in shaping policies that protect and empower disadvantaged entrepreneurs. I mean, this story is very near and dear to my heart. For those of you that do know me, I do a lot of work with the social equity community, and I offer those services for free, something that I don't think many other people do, because I want to see this succeed. I want to see them succeed. And it's heartbreaking and it's frustrating, and it's, much more of the same. This happens in every state, and these regulatory bodies have a duty of care to the people that they regulate. And it's beyond just making sure that someone pays their license fee. If you're creating these regulations around who has day-to-day site control, around how much of the company needs to be actually owned and how the profit should be split, but you're not doing the due diligence to make sure that these are the things that are actually happening, then you are failing these applicants and these business owners. And to see someone like this scumbag, yes, sir, scumbag, sue me, whatever we want to do, I'm going to tell you how I feel, pulling this in Missouri, this is just, it's disgusting. And it's, once again, maybe he's somewhere in the Jensen family tree, because this is very much in line with just predatory, selfish bullshit. And I'm so sick of seeing it. I'm sick of seeing it. It's not just white people that are doing it. I've seen black and brown people also taking advantage of social equity applicants. This is not right. This is to support a specific group of people, not necessarily based on color, but on socioeconomic situations, on disproportionate impact by the war on drugs. This is supposed to be restorative justice, and we're not seeing that. We're seeing theft, and we're seeing predatory practices over and over and over again. So I want to hear what you guys have to say, but it's disheartening, and it's just bullshit.
Jenny Beth, thank you for covering this, and thank you for saying what you said. It's not just white people taking advantage. Sometimes, unfortunately, it is people who look like us. And just remember, if you know what the hell is going on, I'm not going to name any names like I did back in 2018, and I got blackballed for naming names out loud. But it all came to fruition, and just know that the blood is on your hands too when people get affected by this, and chickens do come to roost. Whether it's today, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's well down the line, this shit will catch up to you, and you will get fucked over in the long run for this, called out. And nothing's worse. You can get money back. You can't get your reputation back as easily. Just remember that.
And I will say names. They've been trying to cancel me for years, and it hadn't worked yet. So I guess, just keep on keeping on.
And keep receipts too, because I got my receipts, and those people will not say anything publicly about me, because I will fuck them up. Y'all know who you are.
I'll fuck them up too, Rico. I got your back.
Interesting, you guys. I think you guys should just share with the crowd their names, but whatever, you know what I mean?
dig deep enough on my IG profile, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh man, you're giving all these people hella extra homework.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And I mean, it is a shame what's happening with a lot of these predatory gifting mechanisms in a lot of these states when it comes to social equity, and it's just sad because we really are capable of doing better, but it's not happening.
Yep.
And these folks are walking around and like looking at neighborhoods and looking at have people calling through phone books like, hey, did you know that you could be qualified for a social equity license? And you're catching people who don't know any fucking better. And they're like, oh my God, I have a chance at generational wealth for my family. Mm-hmm. And then putting them in these predatory situations, suing them. Like, I mean, Jesus Christ.
Is this the same guy that was tied? Because we did cover. We were we were promoting so much about how Missouri was getting everything right. You remember that, Jason? Mm-hmm. And just like days after that whole story about these folks out of Missouri putting out Craigslist ads. I didn't know Craigslist was still popping like that, but Craigslist ads trying to court social equity applicants. I wonder if this guy is tied to that. Like, oh yeah, have you been disproportionately affected by the war on drugs?
You may be tied.
Yeah, they're paying people $20,000 to put their names on social equity licenses, so they don't get any part of the business, but they got 20,000 racks. Yeah, 20.
Yeah, that's definitely exploitation.
I mean,
right
shout out to Kareem Webb. He did the same thing here in LA. He's now over our airport commission. So if you're an LA voter, you might want to look into that a little bit. But he took all these people's fucking grant money, didn't pay their licensing fees, had this whole fourth movement situation. You guys can Google it. I've tried to help a lot of those people get out of abandonment because he just left them on their ass after he took all the grant funds and misappropriated them. So, I mean, you see it over and over and over again. And I'm just calling out to the regulatory bureaus that are saying you have to have these certain things to do whatever with this license. Where the fuck are you guys at? You're in everyone else's business. You're minding every P and Q except for the ones that protect social equity applicants. So please switch that up a little bit. Give me something to report on that's positive.
Well, look at that. We did get a name drop on this. Well, look at that. Well, we're gonna keep.
I didn't know the intricacies of that one. So,
looks like you have some homework to do, Rico.
It's gonna be a long weekend.
Look at that, you guys. Rico gave you guys some homework. I gave him some homework. We're gonna skip this this fourth commercial today because we're way over time. We're gonna roll right on into the Hashanista herself, Miss Elise Mc Roberts. She does fashion. She does dabs. She does judging of pre-rolls. And she's constantly showing women how to be bigger and better. That's right. It is none other than Miss Elise Mc Roberts.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jason. I've also dabbed hash and edibles in many categories.
I got something for you. I'm Hashanista.
You got to be faster, Rico.
Are you ready for it? There you go.
Thank you, Rico. Good morning, everyone. All right, I guess we're short on time, so I'll be fast for the boss here. Today's story is from Marijuana Moment, and it's not that great. GOP Congressman says marijuana rescheduling and banking reform would prop up an immoral industry. And believe it or not, it's a GOP congressman who represents California is condemning the Biden administration's push to reschedule marijuana as well as legislative efforts to enact bipartisan cannabis banking reform because he says the policy changes would prop up this immoral industry and give a green light to the evil that comes from drug use. In a brief speech on the House floor on Monday, Rep. Doug LaMalfa, Republican from California, took aim at two incremental cannabis reform proposals while also claiming that marijuana use is linked to increased dependency on welfare benefits. The Justice Department's proposed rule to move cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 of the Controlled Substances Act represents a step towards legalizing marijuana by attempting to reclassify it as a lower category drug, the congressman said, adding that he considers the administrative rulemaking process means of going around Congress. If enacted, this would increase the use of an already dangerous substance, LaMalfa argued, while rescheduling would allow licensed cannabis businesses to take federal tax deductions. They're barred from under the IRS code known as 280E and also remove certain research barriers. It would not legalize the plant, so it's unclear what he means by suggesting it would increase usage rates. He also claimed, contrary to prior research, that California has the highest rate of marijuana users. If he meant number of consumers, that might be explained by the fact that the state is the greatest population in the nation by far. But in terms of rates of consumption, surveys have consistently found higher percentages of usage in other states. In any case, he said it's no surprise that California also has the highest rate of welfare recipients, which is also not true on a per capita basis. That title belongs to New Mexico, followed by Louisiana, West Virginia, Oklahoma, and Oregon, if assessing based on federal SNAP benefit distribution. I believe the government should disincentivize the use of this harmful drug and not allow banks to prop up this immoral industry. The congressman went on to say, noting efforts in Congress to pass legislation that would protect financial institutions that service state-licensed cannabis businesses. He's referring to the Safe Banking Act. The federal government should have no role in encouraging citizens to break federal law by incentivizing banks to handle the money in these industries, he said. These measures give a green light to the evil that comes from drug use. The addicts will rely on state welfare, disability payments for unemployment. Their medical problems will increase, drain out our already strained healthcare system, which taxpayers, are going to front the bill for that. LaMalfa, who made headlines in 2021 after he posted an iconic video of himself bulldozing illegal grows alongside law enforcement in California, concluded by saying, let's not be doing any more to legalize marijuana or pretend that it's legal through financial institutions. The congressman has also sponsored legislation to combat the use of banned pesticides at illegal marijuana grow states in states that have enacted legalization. So that is the story. I was happy to read this one because I wanted to hear what our Republican friends here on the panel think about their boy out here, and also with us, a lot of us Californians, is what are our thoughts on this? I mean, of course, we're going to have opposition with the wave of change that's trying to roll, but yeah, this is Elise Mc Roberts reporting for High at 9 News. I'm going to give the floor back to all the rock stars on the panel.
Oh, man. Well,
yeah, it's your boy, Jason.
That's
your
right.
Boy.
It's Doug LaMalfa. Yep, out of Northern California. He's been a congressman there for many, many years. And probably the best thing that I can say about Doug LaMalfa is that he is consistent, at least with his position. He's always held it this way, so I've always known exactly where he stands on the issue. He doesn't want to pivot at all. He doesn't want to evolve at all. But he does love to grandstand, as you pointed out, Elise, in the most recent story that we covered involving this prohibitionist member of Congress, him bulldozing over an illegal grow that was raided by sheriffs and narcotics agents or whatnot. That I think he was trying to tie to illegal Chinese, but it was actually some Hmongs that had the grow or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but it was something along those lines. I remember there was.
It was in Siskiyou County. Yeah, it's the Hmong people, and in fact, I think that God, I'm glad you brought that one up because they've actually enacted some laws there that are just absolutely racist and go against those people. It's like they don't deliver water and allow water to be delivered on streets that are occupied by people who are Hmong. Like, it's pretty gross. I'm actually going to go up there and teach a pesticide class because a lot of those people are good people and they're trying to learn the right ways to do things. They've made it a felony to use, chemicals improperly, which is cool. I'm going to go teach you how to use them the right way. Like, contrary to popular belief, not all Republicans think the exact same way, and I can vehemently disagree with this gentleman. I think that it's irrational and unreasonable and draconian thinking. So I think the immorality that he's referring to is with the illicit market, and that's because he's not able to benefit because it's not able to be taxed. So
how about we talk about the immorality of him using government funds, our tax dollars, for a fucking bulldozer, and all this grandstanding that he's doing is doing absolutely nothing. And like you said,
100%.
We don't
dog whistles.
We don't know
with no backing behind that.
We do not know that tax dollars were used for the purpose of that bulldozer. I don't think that was tax dollars that were used for the purpose of that.
One of the things
Well, I
we do
wanna
know
say
about
there
this
was-
guy, you know, and typically GOP is the party of law and order until it applies to them, and this guy's a great talking point and example of that. He's totally into law and order when it comes to people of the non-white race making money in a way that he doesn't approve of. However, he illegally and unethically subdivided his own rice farm parcels into over 6 parcels, get over $200,000 to several of his own family members. He's gaming the system like a welfare mommy, you know, the people that he complains about. The guy is so corrupt and unethical that when his fellow Republican primary runners in the primary election lost, they all lockstep endorsed the Democrat, said that this man would be the worst choice to represent the people of his area. And I can't even go into, we don't have enough time in this show for me to recount all of the dastardly, maybe not illegal, but at least unethical and immoral deeds that this man has been guilty of. And he loves on the con.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, in the essence of time, Dr. Mark, did you have any thoughts on this, or Elise, any final words?
No, he sounds like reefer madness. I mean, the evil, the welfare. I mean, all his language was just like cringe.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just kind of surprised in an area like California District 1, where cannabis cultivation is part of the legacy and is so important to the economy. How does a prohibitionist get elected?
Well, his district is actually north of where the Emerald Triangle and all that. It doesn't encompass
Northeast.
the Emerald Triangle. Yeah, it's northeast. So,
But also what we have here, and we're dealing with the same thing, Dr. Mark. We're dealing with the same thing in Mendo and Humboldt and Sonoma. Folks who came in here in the 1800s and murdered, raped, and enslaved their way to property ownership are now the orthodox, legitimate, respectable business people and landowners. And we've been dealing with the same thing in all of these counties, wherein these people who literally were the most criminally descendants of the most criminally psychopathic people on this continent are now the folks who are writing policy and deciding what is good and what is bad for the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, some of the most incredible cannabis I've ever tasted comes from the town of Weed, California, which I believe.
Shout out to Weed,
right
California. Yes.
Right in the middle of District 1. And I don't know if you remember, but those of us who were old enough to actually get phone bills, when I used to call my plug, I would have a call on my long distance to Weed, California.
Oh, yeah. They all knew what you were doing, Dr. Mark. Mm-hmm.
How cool is that? But all along that Northern California border with Oregon is very fluid. The cannabis trade is very fluid. In fact, you have to drive into California to get to some places in Oregon, like Williams. So it's so remote up there, and there's a lot of trade that goes back and forth. So I don't know. This is the district that this guy's got. So I'm just surprised that he's there.
Yeah, he's probably he embodies the whole Arthur meme, like shaking his fist.
All right. Well, since we're on the topic of prohibitionists, you guys, I have another one for you. It's not necessarily about a prohibitionist, but I'm pretty sure there's some prohibition talking points in here, so I'll let you guys be the judge. Kentucky small businesses are concerned with medical marijuana licensing lottery, you guys. That's right. It was a game-changing phone call for one Kentucky business looking to open one of the first medical marijuana dispensaries in the state. And a quote says, "They reached out not knowing that that we were also applying," said Jason Smith, co-owner of Bluegrass Buyers Club. Smith said large out-of-state companies want to use their property to apply for cannabis business licenses. He said many of these businesses won't submit just one application, but multiple to increase their chances in the lottery, often referred to as app stacking. In a quote, "So that's where we declined. Well, look, this doesn't seem fair. Let's reach out to the state and see if this is really the case, Smith added. He said the state's response confirmed his worst fears, with the Kentucky Medical Cannabis Program responded to an email he sent stating, 915 KAR 1.001 definitions for 915 KAR Chapter 1, Section 1 of 5 defines applicant as a person to entity, including any parent entity who applies for a cannabis business license to operate as a cultivator, processor, producer, dispensary, or safety compliance facility in the Commonwealth. And 915 KAR 1.010E initial and renewal applications for cannabis business license, Section 3 of 5 of D of 1 states that a cannabis business applicant shall submit the proposed physical address and GPS coordinates for any proposed business activities, along with documentation such as a contingent agreement for a property sale or lease, or an existing deed or lease that shows the applicant has the authority to use the proposed location as a cannabis business for, at a minimum, or the term of the license. There is nothing in the regulation that would disqualify an applicant if they submit a cannabis business application with the same address another cannabis business applicant submitted, and in an additional quote says, I have one chance in the bucket and they've got 15 chances in the bucket to pull out 2 licenses, and even though you can't operate 2 dispensaries at the same location, they have to be moved away from each other. However, small businesses are still holding out hope, you guys. Well, this is just how the rich get richer, and this is not surprising to me at all, but I can't wait to hear what you guys think.
I'm shocked and appalled. I am appalled, but I'm not shocked.
Yeah, I'm not shocked at all.
People are taking it.
Yeah.
You know, this is the asshole who's got a rich daddy that comes into the school thing where you guys are all trying to get your little mountain bike or whatever they're raffling off, and rich Timmy's dad buys him 100 tickets. Guess what? Timmy got a bike that his dad probably should have bought him in the first place.
Yep.
So yeah.
It sounds like to me what was going down is that you have these people that qualify to apply, and then you have the property owners, and the property owners are collecting as many people that qualify and submitting all these different applications on the same parcels.
Yep.
Right. And then that way they're guaranteed winners for the most part, at least in their mind, or their chances are extremely increased. And then whichever one of those applicants fits the hole the best is the one that will ultimately be successful. And I think that is a pretty big disadvantage, because at the same time, one of the ways that they get around with being able to do these types of things is just saying that company would be able to lease that property as a contingency of obtaining or winning one of these licenses.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we've seen it happen state to state. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, all these emerging markets that are coming online now, they're going to see it the same way. And they don't like to learn. And it's going to lead to more lawsuits. And it's going to lead to more people not getting access to, or having delayed access. And that's going to lead to the trap boldening itself and growing even quicker, bigger, and stronger. Mm-hmm.
This is why I become an asshole, because I love, I want to be welcoming and say that there's room for more people to come in here. But every time you guys come in, you just come in ass fucking backwards. Predatory landlords, predatory investors, predatory advocates. Like, fuck, at some point, can you just leave this to the people that have been doing it since you were scared to, and just like let us do it the right way? Because this is just getting beyond disgusting to me, and I'm so sick of seeing it. And as a cannabis landlord, you're probably going to fucking win anyway, because you're going to charge them 3 times its market rate rent.
I hate to go off the top rope, but
yeah, there we go.
I hate to go off the top rope on you here, but this is like,
we lost you. So I'm
literally asking. All right, Rico, I'm killing you with that one. Sorry, brother.
No, I was just saying. I thought you were gone. You're like glitching out and shit.
Yeah.
I didn't see you over there. I was like, I wish MSG was here to comment on this one, because I know he'd have a field day. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's so ironic for somebody who poses as a Republican to say this, because this is just the exact goal and game plan of capitalism, and you're asking capitalists, not capitalists, and so I don't understand how that happens. And I love you and Jason both, but I find a lot of cognitive dissonance with both of you in that you love the cannabis game, and you oftentimes are advocating for free market policies, but free market policies are in direct contradiction to capitalism. Capitalism is
Well,
about
I mean,
accruing
because
power.
I'm not a.
Give me just 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Oh, go ahead.
Capitalism is about accruing capital, means of production, wealth, and power hands as possible, and using government power to help do so. Whereas the free market about the exchange of goods and services amongst individuals on a level playing field. Capitalism is actually socialism for the wealthy entrenched families that have been running this country for 10,000 years. I would just challenge you to look at your own first principles and decide if maybe the things that I hear you say, maybe you're not actually as much of a capitalist and or a Republican or right-leaning person as you think. Maybe you're a little bit more in the center.
No, I'm fiscally conservative. I'm definitely, socially moderate, and I appreciate you bringing that up because, not every Republican is like, oh, this is right. I am free thinking. You know what I mean? So there are certain things where I'm like, I don't agree with my party, and this is going to be one of them for me. This is kind of more of a heart-led thing than just about dollars and cents for me, obviously, or I'd be be driving the fucking car.
Well, here's my quick response to that. I know we're out of time now, but here's my quick response to that. I'm like, you and Jason, you guys are outliers. I know we rib each other regularly on the show because it's fun, but I think this show and the cannabis industry as a whole is a great representation of people being not a monolith. Cannabis brings everybody together. It's a communal plant, and we are a microcosm of the greater United States. So we need to quit labeling ourselves as either Republicans or Democrats. And I love guns.
What if we Matthew?
I love women's rights.
Matthew, what if we label ourselves? What if we label?
And I love weed.
What if we label ourselves, Matthew, conscious capitalists? Would you be more comfortable with that?
There's no such thing as conscious capitalism.
No, yeah. So Jason, what I would invite you and Jenny both to do, out of my love and respect for you, is just to drop the labels, get out of the box, and try to find ways that we can all build bridges together. Because the moment we label ourselves and we put some sort of tribal sigil on our shield, we have to by default then make out groups, and then we create dissonance and war. And again, there's no such thing as conscious capitalism. There's no such thing as caring capitalism. What's happening is you're finding the intersection of your own heart space and the truth of who you are as a being, trying to adjust a system that does not actually have a space for that. Actually, to dig into the political and economic definitions and goals of capitalism, there is no heart, there is no consciousness. It literally is a system for the aggregation of wealth and power, as few hands as possible. It is a system that was invented to create and safeguard class stratification, keeping the rich rich, the poor poor, the benefit of the fewest people at the top of the pyramid. Something that has been happening on our planet for at least the last 10,000 years. It's the Younger Dryas Comet impact, and humanity as a whole lost our tie with psychedelics. And that's why you see in America Ronald Reagan and Richard Nixon and Donald Trump, George Bush and Dick Cheney and all of these, and Henry Kissinger, all these vapid capitalists warring and creating the war on drugs to destroy the free speech movement, to destroy the anti-war movement, to destroy the civil rights movement, to continue to safeguard and enshrine capitalism and capitalist policies. That's why at the beginning of COVID, Führer, Don the Con, immediately lined up with all of the Democrats and all of the Republicans who are all capitalists, wrote a check for over trillions of dollars to Wall Street and the largest corporations in America, and then spent the next 4 months trying to figure out how we could send $1,000 to people because we just couldn't afford to give $1,000 to regular Americans. What I would say is, I know, Jason, that you and Jenny Beth have great hearts, great minds. I do not believe even your own self-identification that either of you is a Republican. I think the answer is bigger than that. I think the answer is more subtle and complex than that. Love and respect you guys.
All love.
Hey, and just remember, just remember Donald Trump had donated 4 times to Kamala Harris.
Oh yeah, he did, bro. He's been a Democrat his whole life.
Cute.
Crazy. Yeah, I refer to myself as socially conservative and fiscally conservative and socially moderate. So it is what it is. But
You know what they say.
Hey,
you
equal
know what
rights
they
and
say.
less.
You know what they say about that whole Democrat-Republican thing, right? You guys, they say that
Wings of the same shit bird.
No, if you're not a Democrat while you're young, you have no heart, and if you're not a Republican when you're older, you have no common sense.
No, you have no money.
Or money.
And on that note, thank you all for joining us for yet another episode, another week of High at 9 News. You can always catch us live weekdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to the super fans getting their comments posted live. Do we have any today, man?
No Wagyu for the weekend. You guys, no barbecue. Yep, I'm going to be famished over the weekend. No one wants to feed me.
We love y'all nonetheless, but Jason's going to get no Wagyu beef cold cuts today. But big shout out to you guys.
I'll buy you dinner, Jason.
Nonetheless, and to our live audience members and online supporters tuning in and giving us feedback to the daily headlines of chaos, also known as the developing cannabis industry. To our vetted correspondent team tuning in from all over, bringing us much needed variety of perspective and your respected opinions to the table. Our production team, Millie and Adam, behind the scenes, keeping their AV struggles in check. Thank you, both of y'all, very much. And finally, Cannabis Sativa L. You are the sacred reason why we show up to read these stories every single day. Thank you too, baby girl. It has been July 26th, Friday. The show's over. You all been blessed with the top industry headlines. Hope is enough for everybody to... I'm sick, y'all. Sorry, I sound like Joe Budden this morning, but hope is enough for you all to put in your
Biden.
Feel better.
Over the weekend, and we will see you guys on Monday. My name is Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High at 9 News, America's #1 daily cannabis news show. And today we're gonna pop this thing on out to Elise Mc Roberts, the Hashanista herself. Slow weekend love. What you got? You get some good messaging for these people. You know, they're hashing them all up. Come on now.
You know, I think everyone should seek out some mushrooms or psychedelics and treat themselves to a nice trip and experience in nature this weekend, and tap out from all of the social media and headlines and news, and just go be with yourself for a little bit. We'll see you next week.
Yes.